All right, let's see what this Amish looking fellow has to say about existential OCD. I did this video back in January of 2024, so please no judgment. I don't know what I was thinking.
I find myself contemplating the nature of reality, existence, and fearing death more intensely than most. So essentially, he's questioning existence all the time. That was one of the more challenging things that I went through. I remember one time I was like,
Yeah, I used to obsess over existence, consciousness, nature, reality, and the afterlife literally all the time, several hours a day. This is something that my clients experience all the time. So I initially started to obsess over existence, not to the point of like existential OCD, which is like an extreme form of existential obsession, uh, whenever I was very young. And there's a lot of reasons that existential obsession and especially existential OCD can happen. But one of the components of it that I'm now learning in the last 3 or 4 years after just different, trainings and research and different things like that is obsessing over existence can be a dissociative mechanism. Okay. So dissociation comes from a Latin root word that means to sever or separate. And it's a spectrum. Okay. So it's basically the various ways that our brain separates us from painful experiences. And early on as a kid, I was being severely bullied at school. I'd come home. Older brothers didn't want to have anything to do with me. My parents went through a very messy divorce. I only have a couple memories of my mom and dad actually being together. And once I turned like 11 and 12, uh, they remarried to the most wonderful people that they're still married to this day. Things got a lot better. But, 5 to 11 or 12, which are pretty important years, were very, very, very bad for me. And I didn't feel good. I was very stressed. And looking back at it now, I realize for me, obsessing over existence became a way for me to separate from the pain in my body as well as my life. Because if I'm always in my head trying to answer questions that I'll never be able to answer until I'm dead, I don't have to be in my body, which is interoception, the experience of the embodied self, and I don't have to be in my life. Those places are too painful. And so my brain, in a very creative fashion, found a way to separate from that. Now, once depersonalization realization kicked in 2008, that's whenever it spiraled into full-blown existential OCD. Because DPDR is so existential in nature, it kind of just poured gasoline on the fire. But that was something that I technically had been dealing with from the time that I was a kid.